What is going on, guys? My name is Elliot. I'm your guys' on YouTube video back to more Call of Duty Black Ops 2 for you guys. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about a much more serious topic today, as in what is wrong with Call of Duty. Why people, at least to me, it seems like find more and more people that are saying that either Call of Duty is boring, or they're just not liking decisions that developers make, or they're just not really enjoying like their COD experience. It's really kind of crazy to think about because Call of Duty's always been this thing where like every year it's like everyone's pumped for it, but it just seems like more like as the years go by, like the hype is still there in the beginning, but as the years go by, it just seems like the closer we get to the end of the game, the the negativity starts coming and people are just starting to like bash on the game and give it down ratings. I haven't heard too much with Black Ops 3, however. I personally think Black Ops 3 is one of the better Call of Duties. I think honestly this is my favorite COD. But games like Ghost and Advanced Warfare just kind of just that kind of vibe where like everyone's just not liking the game and just taking negative turns towards it. And I just kind of want to address some points why I think that people would be saying that they would not like Call of Duty or not enjoy it at all. So the first thing we're going to talk about is past failures, past fail CODs, like CODs that just people did not like, and people are gonna not really say that they would think it would be like a great game to them. So Modern Warfare 3 is the first one that comes to mind for me because I've heard my friends talk about so many times that they hated MW3, and I'm pretty sure I've heard other people say that they have not enjoyed MW3. Also, they like some of my friends have said they almost like quit playing COD in MW3, which is crazy to think about because the Modern Warfare series is literally like one of the better series in Call of Duty, and the fact that someone almost quit playing because of one of their games is pretty crazy. But I don't really have too much to say on that because, like I said, I have played in Black Ops 2, so it's just from what I heard with my friends when I asked them Warrior 3 where's CODs. But the other two that came up, I completely agree with Ghost and Advanced Warfare. Even though I only played in Black Ops 2, I would say hands down that Ghost and AW were the worst two games I played. I didn't really hate Ghost too much, but it's just that so many people said like and when I heard about Ghost, and when everyone was talking about Ghost, they all said one thing that you'll hear everyone say almost is like one of the worst CODs ever, one of the worst Call of Duties ever made. Like so many people ripped on it. Like it's ridiculous. Like Ghost was the game that like everyone just set out to like just destroy with hatred. Like Infinity Ward took some shots with Ghost, honestly, because Ghost was like one of the most hated games ever. And then came out, and then freaking it was like an argument for the worst game ever. Like I mean, boosters like the freaking like Treyarch when they announced they were gonna add thrusters to this game, people literally were starting to get pissed because they thought it was gonna be AW again. That's how bad AW kind of messed up COD. Granted, it's their first game, and honestly, I didn't really hate the boosters that much. Like, I didn't hate, like, the whole boosting, like, fast and stuff. It wasn't really a problem. I kind of like that fast playstyle, but for me, the variants really just killed it for me. It just wasn't, it just made pubs, like, unbalanced and annoying. It just wasn't enjoyable at all for me, honestly. Because, honestly, in AW, if you weren't using, like, one or two certain guns, it was kind of very annoying, which I think Black Ops 3 is doing a really good job with making sure that all the guns are balanced, having because like I swear you could get beat by like any gun in this game. Any gun can outgun any gun, it just depending on whose hand it's in, which is pretty crazy to think about because it's definitely one of the more balanced CODs. Like I could use any assault rifle, any sub, just any of the weapons in this game are really viable and really good to use. So that's definitely a positive right there for Black Ops 3. At least, like I said, guys, Black Ops 3 is one of my favorite games, and I don't really have too many negative things to say about it, but there will be some negatives probably coming up a little later. Another topic we're going to talk about today is that the games are kind of getting old and repetitive. I've heard people that have played much longer than me. Granted, I have not played as long, so I don't really feel this yet, but they've said that the games are getting old and repetitive, and you can kind of understand where they're coming from. If you played a game for like 6, 7 years, you play like since Black Ops 1 or World at War or like even COD 4, like that's a long time. That's 8 years of kind of like the same core principle, just like running around and shooting people for like 6, 7 years, like different with just like a different name, a different title, and some different maps. Like that's kind of it, and maybe some new mechanics here and there. But I mean, it's still that core thing of just like shooting, running around shooting, like, it's like FPS, just running around shooting people and stuff, which is not really a big like thing to really combat. I think like honestly, the best way for you to combat that is just to take a step back and just not play for a little bit. Then you'll probably come back and you'll feel pretty re-energized. So I don't really think it was like the biggest issue there. But you can definitely understand where people are coming from, where they're talking about it gets old and repetitive. Because I'm pretty sure back when people started playing, at least for me, when I played Black Ops 2, I was addicted to it. Like, like you felt like an actual addiction to Call of Duty. Like you wanted to play 24/7, like 7 days a week. Like it was crazy. Like you just wanted to go on, like get home from school, play, and then go back out and then do your normal daily stuff, and then just come back home and play. That's literally all you wanted to do, and it's pretty crazy that a game could like get you hooked like that. But that's kind of how it was. But now you can kind of see that once you play for a long time, you kind of start to like taper off a little bit and not play as much. But it's really understandable because I mean, if you played for 6, 7 years straight and you did not get kind of bored, then I'd be pretty surprised, honestly. But that's pretty much that for the old repetitive. Like I said, just kind of take a break from it, come back, and you'll probably be enjoying COD again. And you'll probably be back on that grind once again. But the next topic we're going to be talking about is probably going to be more serious. This one is going to be on the developers as to why people are finding COD either boring or not fun, or just having negative views towards COD. And it's kind of partially the developers' blame, not in making a bad game. Now, when it comes to making a video game, you can't say it's easy at all. Like people that make video games literally have talent, and it's crazy because like I've seen I've used like basic game maker stuff in school, and I couldn't even wrap my head around how they could even make something like this come out, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it. But the fact that some of these companies are seasoned and they do know how to make these games. Like Treyarch's been doing it since like World at War, I think. That could be super wrong. Please don't mark me up on that. But Treyarch's been doing it for a while. Infinity Ward's done it for a while. Sledgehammer, it was their first try, but they finished Modern Warfare 3. So, I mean, like, these guys are definitely been around the block before, and they know how to make these games. So, I would just feel like the minor things they're not doing, it just doesn't seem as though they just don't play their game, or they just don't listen to the community enough. I don't know, but it's weird, because, like, it just feels like I see sometimes that certain things come off, and, like, some of the decisions that are made by these companies just doesn't seem like it would make sense. Like I feel like people every year complain about kind of like the same thing, like an overpowered shotgun or like a crazy OP like an explosive like C4s and stuff, or trip mines, shock charges, and they always still make it back into the next game, which I really do like. I guess it kind of like you can't really combat it because there are people that do want to play like in that play style. You can't really cater to everyone. You kind of have to try to cater to everyone, so they kind of have to add that stuff, which is pretty understandable. But certain things where like people, I've seen the people completely voice an opinion. Like take the Argus for example. So the Argus is a shotgun, overpowered shotgun. Everyone should probably know it by now. It's an OP shotgun in Black Ops 3, and when the first like set of weapon updates came out, the Argus received a range buff, and I was pretty shocked when I saw it because I thought the gun had a pretty good range already, and I thought it was about to get nerfed for range. And I see everyone complaining about like, why'd you buff the Argus? Like the Argus should have gotten nerfed, like why'd you buff the Argus? And then a few weeks later, another weapons update is gonna come out, and it gets buffed again. It's like almost as if they didn't read those endless tweets, because I don't know if I could see anywhere where anyone said that buffing the Argus was a good idea. Like I don't know if I would ever see a tweet or a YouTube video where someone said this gun needs to get buffed. Like people weren't tweeting buff the Weevil. They weren't tweeting buff the Argus. They were tweeting buff the Weevil, not buff the Argus, and that shit was getting buffed twice, which was pretty crazy to me because it like that gun is pretty OP already. Another example for why people would like kind of find some of their decisions kind of weird was, at least for me, I don't know about other people, but the whole toughness thing was kind of weird for me. I know probably Treyarch's heard this complaint like 1,000 times already, but it's still pretty surprising to me that like when the game came out and they said that they did not want to have crutch perks anymore, they didn't want to have people using like the same perks all the time, so they were going to get rid of toughness. It was like, alright, that's a good idea, just give everyone toughness so we can not flinch anymore. But instead they're going to remove it. They remove toughness, and everyone kind of has, it's not, of course, not crazy flinch like it would be if you didn't have toughness in other games, but it is still a pretty decent flinch, especially when you have a perk like High Caliber, where if you flinch you could probably end up getting a fluke kill and hitting a guy in the head and taking him out, which is pretty crazy because it's just like a weird combination that they would even add that to the game, which really doesn't make much sense to me. But that's just kind of how it is. I don't know, just some decisions by the developers just seem like they either just didn't play their game enough to like realize what certain things are broken or just not like shouldn't be allowed, But then you kind of have to understand that they are developers and they can't really play their game as much as we do. But you would think that at least they would take the time and, see our opinions and see what we're talking about, like see that we're not happy with it at all. But, that's just another reason why I think that some certain things could be fixed with Call of Duty. At least some part of the blame has to be on the developers, not because they are the developers and people just want to bash them and just they're making dumb decisions all the time. But it's kind of also because if it's happening over and over again, then you kind of have to put some blame on the people that create it. But another reason why I think that Call of Duty is kind of being received as boring or not, as enjoyable to other people, will be that the rewarding system, rewards for good players at least. I don't feel like all right. Personally, I think I'm pretty I'm above average. I think I'm an above average player. I think I'm pretty good, and I don't feel like sometimes that, at least in terms of for this, where we're rewarding for good players, I think that the gold gear and dark matter is a great reward for good players because it definitely takes some skill to do. I mean, obviously, some of the challenges are just just get headshots, bloodthirsty and stuff. So I guess any person can really do it, but it takes a grind and commitment to it. But in terms of rewarding, I kind of leaning towards more with the supply drops. A lot of people that I've talked to really hate the whole supply drops idea, at least in terms of when it comes to buying supply drops or variants out of supply drops, which is pretty crazy because I really just don't think that it was a great idea at all to ever have supply drops in Call of Duty. It just really didn't make any sense to me, really, because supply drops were cool when it was you could get cosmetics only, but now they kind of started adding weapons into it, and it's kind of fearful for that they could start adding weapon variants into supply drops, which I wouldn't think people will want to see at all, because weapon variants in supply drops is one of the most ridiculous broken things, and people just get so annoyed with it. And it seems like it's kind of turned to where Call of Duty is just becoming a cash cow, to the point where we're just spending money to buy good weapons, and it's almost kind of becoming pay to win-ish. But it's not there yet, but it's definitely in that direction. Where it comes to leveling up, and we just don't get weapons that we from those supply drops that we wanted for a long time. I've seen, and I played AW, and I've seen kids that have gone into the haven't gone into the master prestiges, but they got one to they were almost level 15, prestige 15, master prestige, and they didn't get they didn't get any of the good weapons they wanted. Or in this game, there's probably going to be people that will never get a brass knuckle or a sword or any of that stuff, but there's probably going to be a kid who just hops on randomly, doesn't even play the game. We're talking maybe 10-15 minutes playtime, and he's going to get that out of his first or second supply drop. It's crazy on how random it is, but it is pretty annoying that a random person could get these things out of supply drops. I do think that they should have a system where when you level up, maybe when you hit master prestige or certain levels, maybe after prestige 10, maybe every 50 levels or something, you get one of the new weapons. But it is pretty ridiculous that a person that can never play or hardly play can get this weapon that you've been waiting for forever, and he could probably use it for nowhere near as much time as you would. For AW, at least for me, because if Black Ops 3 adds variants back, then it's definitely going to be a huge problem, because then there's going to be a huge point where kids that just don't play are getting the items that the kids that do play would really want. And it's really very frustrating to see that, because when it comes to it, paying money should not decide whether or not I get this weapon, because buying and waiting for crypto keys, it takes way too long. Crypto keys is literally impossible to wait for the whole time. You can't really take the time and wait for crypto keys for every game, because after a game's over, you could go 50-0 and a kid could go 0-50, but you're going to get the same crypto keys because your team won or lost and you guys got the same amount of time played in the game. So it really just doesn't show how a player really performs in the game, at least when it comes to rewarding with crypto keys and rewarding with variants. Because if they are going to add variants, then they're going to be kids that are going to be having better weapons than other people just because they had more crypto keys or more money to spend on the game. Whereas money should never ever be the factor as to whether a person gets better guns or anything like that. Money should not be the factor in that. It should be a person leveling up and putting time into the game, which is why I think supply drops were a big problem, at least when it came to them adding more, adding variance into supply drops. That's just my opinion on it though, guys. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. That's kind of my main topics on why I think Call of Duty kind of has had problems over the past few years, why people are the game kind of more negatively. But I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, guys, I'm gonna see you guys later. Peace.